Okay, okay. So we have no James today. It's just me and you. How
Yes,
are you?
I'm doing good.
Good,
How are
good,
you?
good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We're gonna do like James does, and we're gonna get started and by playing our a little video clip, and from there we will hop back on and get started as we normally do.
What is up? What is up? What is up? Everyone. It is another day, another time, and another week for We'll Talk Monday.
What's up with you? It's only up from here. Let's go. Real talk. Real talk. Real talk. Real talk. Monday. Tune in to Real Talk Monday with Reverend James H. Glover III, a godly show that keeps it real.
Okay, Jessica.
Let's do it.
Let's do this. So, as always, we are going to start off in prayer and then we'll get into our topic for the day and let Jessica introduce herself as well. Okay, let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for allowing us to be here to see another day. Father God, thank you for this platform that James has made available for us to be able to share our knowledge, our experience, our wisdom, our beliefs. Father God, I ask that anything that we may say today will be received with love and grace, Father God, and that we will continue to be present for those that need us, dear Heavenly Father, and those that may not feel that they need us. Dear Lord, I ask that you will protect us, our children, our families, and friends. Keep them safe and in your will, Father God. We thank you today and always for all the many blessings that you will continue to bestow upon us. And in your Son Jesus' name, we pray always and forever. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so today is part two of single moms raising teen girls. The last time we had another young lady on with us, Dr. Kelly, but today it must just going to be Jessica and I. So we are going to wing this. We have two teenage daughters that are the same age
Yeah.
and life experiences. So, Jessica, if you would like to introduce yourself, and then we will get started.
Sure. I am Jessica Renee. I am out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. I am a licensed mental health therapist. Um, I let's see. What else? What else can I tell you about me? Again, I'm a mother of a teen. Yeah, I'm just going through life and figuring things out one step at a time. There's no parenting book. There's no there's no therapist book, and so I'm just learning how to do things in the design that God has created me in and make it work for me, make it functional, right? That's
Right.
what I'm trying to do, make it functional. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Um, yeah.
Okay.
Happy to be here
Okay.
as always. Happy to have this conversation.
Glad
Happy to
you are
have some
here.
long chat time.
For sure. Exactly. For sure. Yeah, we definitely need our own village at times, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's always good to know that you're not going through these experiences by yourself. You know, it's always good to know that. Hey Shakira, hey Elizabeth, thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you.
So yes, so I went back through and watched the video to see how many questions we got through the last time. Girl, we only got through the first three questions. You know we
Yes,
was
we did.
talking, okay? Um, and so from those questions, I kind of pulled out a few questions um, out of that. So I'm going to kind of start with those questions, and then we can just go from there. We can just go
And
from
can I
there.
say, y'all, we had like 10 questions. And so we only
Yeah,
got through three.
three exactly, exactly. It was so many. It was so many. So that lets you know conversation was good, and you can go to so many other levels just from one question for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so just from the last video, when I was going back through and watching it, something that I pulled out is, I can't remember what question we were on, but I wanted to know if you can see some of your ways in your daughter, and if so, what are some of the ones that you're comfortable sharing?
Oh, definitely. I mean, one, we're both quirky. We're like when we have to get comfortable around people. And that's another trait I think of hers too is we're kind of laid back, but once you get to know us, like you see our quirky side and you see like I would say we're odd. We're just quirky. We're quirky
Right,
people.
right, right.
We're the ones that'll just bust out in song or do a little dance here and there.
Right,
So
right.
we keep life interesting.
Mhm, mhm,
I grew up as a single child, and so I think
mhm,
that's why she kind of gets that from me because I had to entertain
mhm,
myself growing up,
mhm.
and so so that looks different than those who have siblings.
Right.
So that's why I just say we're a little quirky.
Mhm,
I will say she gets I think she got her laid backness for both me and her dad, but
mhm,
pretty laid back. We both love music. Um, we're both we're introverted, but we're both outgoing too. Like
mhm,
again
mhm,
that comes with once we get warmed up with people and um we can definitely, you know,
mhm,
become more
mhm.
outgoing.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the
I can.
glasses. We both wear glasses. We both got bad eyesight. Okay.
So for me, I think that so yes, of course. This strength is a thing, which can be a tornado sometimes coming through the house. So definitely the strength, the big heart. Also, she has it because she definitely loves her friends greatly, and spending time with her friends. I'm not an only child, but I'm the only girl.
Yeah.
So because of that, I always wanted girlfriends around. Whenever we traveled,
Mhm.
whenever we did something, I wanted to always bring a friend with me because I always wanted a sister. And the same way with her, it's always been like that with her as well, which is fine. I get it. Um, when she really wants something, that determination comes out. Um, and as far as so I think the heart and the strength, determination when she really is determined, when she finds something she really wants or like, that determination comes out. And unfortunately, being impatient, she gets that honest actually, and I've gotten better. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that kind of pours out to her sooner than later. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that's it. I think that's it. Together we are very funny. We do have a good time together, cutting up. Her teaching me how to dance and new dances, and just I think it was yesterday. Because typically, if she teaches me a dance, she's been practicing for days, and she expects me to just get it. Like, girl, what? Like, nobody
Right.
does that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not fair. So there was a dance that was so simple that she couldn't get. And I just had on not enough clothes, and she's like, "Just try." So I'm like trying to cover myself up and doing this dance, right? I was like, "Girl,
Yeah.
I can do it." She was like, "How can you do that one? You got because it's easy. Why can't you
Right.
do
It's
it?"
three
I ain't
steps,
got that
not
coordination,
20.
right? So it's just kind of little things like that. We definitely love doing that, and we enjoy going to the movies together too. So there's things that I see in her. Sometimes when people are talking to her demeanor, or sometimes her expression. So things like that, I definitely see some of my ways in her.
Yeah.
I would be interested to know what like her father or other people see, because I definitely see him in
Yeah.
her in certain ways, right? And I'd be like, girl, that's your daddy. That's something your daddy said. That's something your daddy did. That case, So, it's kind of, and it's different too, because she's never lived in the house with him. So to be able to, still see some of his ways come out, you wouldn't think that, but it does. It does for sure.
Yeah.
It
It's in the
does.
genes.
So yes, Bethany, are you on? If so, can you unmute and show your face and introduce yourself, please?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good, good, good. I'm Bethany, and yeah, like I don't know what you want me to
How old's your
say.
child?
Hold on, let me switch. Let me.
Just tell how old your daughter is and what you do for work, if that's something you want to share.
Yeah. All right. So I have a 15-year-old daughter. She will be 16 the end of the month. Time flies.
For sure.
And we are learning how to drive after her brake heals. That kind of interrupted things. She was doing great, so now we gotta wait 6 weeks to see what this is gonna look like. And I work for a nonprofit called Corner to Corner. I run an after-school program called Script to Screen, and so I'm the program director of that after-school program. I work with middle school students, and it's a literacy program that empowers students' creativity through making movies. So that's what I do.
Nice. Thank you for sharing. The question that we just posed was, do you see some of your ways in your daughter? And if so, what are they?
Oh, yes, child. I do. So she's very dramatic. And she does have like a bubbly personality though. Like she's very dramatic. She has a very bubbly personality. I see, but then it's like I see some of that, a lot of that in me, in her. That's from me. And then I see a lot of just like her. Like I see her dad, but then it's like these like unique moments when it's like that's neither one of us. And I think it's like the most amazing thing to see, because it's like, man, like this is like your kid who has their own personality, which just kind of like lets you know that their journey and their time spent on this earth is completely different from yours, but so purposeful. And so, but yeah, she definitely has a lot of different traits like me. I'm trying to think. She's an athlete, and she got that from me. And so I do it, and what's so funny about that is because she is an athlete. She did get that from me, but her like her motivation as an athlete, she also got that from me. And so it's like pulling teeth a lot of times, and I'm just like, man, good God, you making this hard, because it's like you see so much of this like potential in them, and it's like, man, you don't even know like how much you could dominate in what you do. But it's just like there's this lack of like motivation in it. And one of the things that I'm learning from her though is because like, so she plays soccer, and as much as she loves soccer, it does not compare into how much she loves art, because she's also an artist. And my energy spent on like, are you making sure that you did this, and are you doing that when it comes to soccer? Like, I don't have to put that much energy into art. And so one of the things that I'm learning is that it's okay to, recognize that she's an athlete, recognize that she is great at what she does, but like this is actually not like, this is something that like she does because it's fun. This is something that she does because because she has friends, but like I think this is just a part of her journey, and it's
It kind
not
of sounds
the
like it's what she does, but art is who she is.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I'm having to learn. It was different for me
Mhm.
because like I learned that I could run. I learned that I was fast, and that was like my thing because I never really felt like, I was really that I wasn't really good at anything. She's smart. She makes really good grades. Which is also like completely different for me. So I was able to run track and I was like, yes, this is it. I got this. You know, like nobody can tell me anything about this. Nobody can like, all of those things. Like that's where like my confidence came from. And so like I have to understand that that was for me. That's not for her.
That's right.
Mhm.
And
And
it's like,
I think a lot of times as parents, both men and moms and dads, we have to realize that their journey is their journey, right? You're going to see a glimpse of yourself in them, but not for us to force or make, right? So since Ava's been small, there's been a few rules. You have to do good in school. You have to play one sport, whether you go to college and do it or not. You have to play one sport because I wanted her to have, especially being the only child, the team building, the physical activity, because it just lets off different types of endorphins. And you have to go to church as long as you're in my house, right? You have to. So those are the three things that I've encouraged her to do, um, to be a part, to stay present and stay active. And of course, any clubs that she wants to do, welcome to do that. But she grew up, she's done everything. There's nothing that she has not done. She's stuck with softball, but now she's lost the love somewhere along the line. And now it's just, she's doing it just probably because she knows she has to in a way.
What you gotta do
But
is sport.
she does enjoy it once it starts. It's just kind of leading up to the season. It's just like, Mom, hey, stay active. Stay active. If I could trust that you go exercise with me every day, I might think about it, but you ain't, and I'm not ready to do that. But once the season gets going, she's good. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so do you all feel that there is a difference between, and so we want to be mindful of the time and how we answer the questions, Bethany. Last time we were on here and we have like 30 something questions, right? We only got through 3 questions.
oh my God.
Literally the last time, but which is okay. But I just want everybody to be able to share, right? So I'm not going to like stop you or anything like that in the middle of your sentence. But it was just so funny because we had such good conversation that you just, so we're okay with that. But it's just kind of funny that we had all these questions and we only got through 3 the last time. So feel free, but I do want everybody to be able to answer the question. So my next question is there a difference between being stern and being mean?
Yes.
I'll say yes.
For sure. Yep.
I guess. I think.
You can.
Well,
Yeah, I can go
being
after you. Go
stern
ahead.
is. I think, like you said, it's setting the rules. Like these are the boundaries. Like we got to do this, this, and this, and everything else we can fluctuate around. But being mean is just kind of like it's to me. It's like in a parenting. It's like if you're devaluing the person, like them, like my daughter. I tried to do the same thing. Tevis, like go play a sport, but she's just not a sports person, and I had to realize I'd be okay with that, And so after a while, I was like, if I keep pushing her to make her feel like she has to do a sport, that's gonna make her feel like I'm not good enough because I don't want to do this or I'm not good at this. You know what I'm saying? So to me, like pushing her was not, I wouldn't call it mean, but it can get to the point where it is mean because it's kind of like devaluing because you're not doing what I want. And so and then of course how you say things, like sometimes you can just say things mean, so
Yeah.
Yep. I agree 100%. I think it's devaluing them. Albany's love language is words of affirmation, so I have to be like very careful with like the words and stuff that I use. But like once upon a time, as she was growing, when she was little, I didn't really understand that, and I wasn't mean, but I did like I would kind of like fuss out of aggravation, and that can be mean, and it makes them, it creates things inside of them. And so I had to learn how to be different.
Mhm.
um and learning what her love language was also like helped out a lot. But yeah, I think that, it's like saying mean words, or I even think that, like, dismissing, their feelings, or dismissing, like, their challenge,
Mhm.
um can be mean, because they're not being heard. And
Mhm.
so, but yeah, I definitely agree. I think there's a difference between stern and mean. I think and something else that I learned is, like, being stern is like, say exactly what you want them to do. What do you
Mhm.
want her to do?
Mhm.
Because the frustration comes from, like, as these things need to be done, they're not getting done, but you hadn't
Mhm.
really, now you just fussing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're going
Mhm.
off because it hasn't gotten done, but you didn't really
Mhm.
clearly state, like, this needs to be done, this is when it needs to be done, and all of these
Mhm.
different things. Like, so now you just going off for it, for no reason. And
Mhm.
so, like,
Mhm.
yeah, I think that when you're being stern, there needs to be, like, clear what to do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree, and I do too. Again, being mean is just that, not being kind in your word choices, just saying whatever's the first thing to come out of your mouth. The way you tell them or ask them to do something. We're raising adults, right? They are children, teenagers that we want to be successful adults, right? So we want them to they learn how to treat people by how we treat them. And we fall short sometimes. And I know that I have fallen short, quite a few times actually. But as she's grown and has found her own voice, and y'all have heard me say this quite a bit, we have learned each other's boundaries, right? We
Yeah.
know each other's boundaries, and 85% we respect each other's boundaries as we're getting older. So and then being stern is, I've asked more than 3 times for you to take this garbage out. I don't want to have to ask again. This is your
Mhm.
chore, this is your responsibility. I need you to do what you need to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And really practicing being proactive instead of reactive. I don't want to come in the house and start fussing because the chores aren't done, right? I want to come in the house and greet you intentionally, although I see this dishes are still in the sink and you should have them washed.
She's like, don't look over there. Yeah.
Intentionally, acknowledging her that she's here, because even from the pandemic up to this point, when I get home, she meets me downstairs or she hollers to me from her room for me to come upstairs, right? That's just what she does. So instead of walking steps fussing about you ain't did this, did that, I try to have tunnel vision and just go acknowledge her, give her a kiss, love her, whatever she needs, right, in that moment. So just
Mhm.
learning to be proactive instead of reactive is something that I've been really working on really, really hard, because my mom was reactive. She was a reactive mom, and unfortunately we pick up some of those things, right? But as you know, every child is different. A lot of things that mama may have to do with us, don't have to do with Ava, so I definitely think there's a difference between being stern and being mean.
And I think,
um,
well,
yeah,
just to
go ahead.
piggyback off what you were saying, I think a lot of that, again, because when Naya was younger, a lot of it has to do with your own self regulation, right?
Hmm.
Like, I have to regulate
Hmm.
myself so I am
Hmm.
not reactive.
Right.
And, like you said, it depends on how you grew up. So,
Mhm.
sometimes people don't realize, they just think that's how I'm supposed to respond, but
Mhm.
it can
Hmm.
they may not realize that caused a dysregulation in you.
Mhm.
So now, like, when it happens, that's your
Right, right.
first defense or whatever. But I know when I was younger, like, she was a strong-willed child, so it was got to be one of them. Like, she wasn't gonna give, I wasn't gonna give. So
Mhm.
I had to learn how to self-regulate, because, and I won't say
Hmm.
it took me a while to learn it and understand why
Mhm.
you need to do that,
Hmm.
Yeah.
because, I mean, yeah, it is rough,
Yeah.
especially when they're challenging you, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I tell people that your children are your biggest reality check. They are your
mhm.
biggest
Yes.
reality check. And I wish that I would have done some things differently when Ava was younger, because Ava was not the aggressive kid. She was not the kid that really needed me to fuss, yell, or pop if I ever pop, right? She really didn't need that. So that's a regret that I've had to forgive myself for and ask for forgiveness from her, because she wasn't. Now the strength and aggression is now. Am I a part of probably that? I am. And I've had to admit that, you know what I'm saying? And then her experiences that she's experienced, but again, there's no book, right? We live and learn and trial and error. And when you got one kid, it's all on that one kid. Okay. You ain't got the second and third one to try. Okay. This didn't work, but even still, personalities are different. Me and my siblings, we all have different personalities, all of us. So anyway, so yes, I agree. Thank you, ladies, for sharing. Is there a fine line between planting a seed versus telling them what to do? Or is it the same?
I think there's a line, because sometimes you have to learn how to just introduce an idea and then let them see where they're going to take it. But that's a problem where I have it, because being a single parent, I was just always like, let me just do it. And so not realizing how, if I don't let her figure things out, that, like I see that now from we not letting her figure things out, is that she waits for somebody to tell her how to do it. And you can't always do that. So like, I think that, so did I stop that curiosity part, because, I was just like, let me just do it, because we got to get this done and move on,
Right.
So.
I hear it now. At first I had to think about it, because I wasn't like really sure. But just the other day, her school sent an email out about some service program that they're looking to introduce to like the high school students. And so they're wanting them to see how many kids would sign up to like go to Guatemala and do like a service project. And I'm like, oh, well, let me look into it. I'm like, I feel like this will be cool. And so I find myself, I feel like there's a lot of things that I feel like there are opportunities out there that I don't think that like she's going to initiate and be like, hey, I saw this and I want to do this. Like, she's just not going to do that. But I think that's the other part that she kind of gets from me. So my mom was the type where she's like, you gonna do this. The only thing that she didn't say that about was track. And I went to her about track. But other than that, and what was funny, I went to her about track and she was like, no, you don't even like to be outside. But eventually she said, yeah. But to go back to Albany, yeah, I think so. Like, so when I think about when you ask the question, I'm thinking about planting a seed, and I'm sitting up here like, well, I don't know, like, what kind of seeds are we planting? Like, what are we talking about versus like, telling them what to do? And I guess it could be the same thing. I think it depends on like what it is. So like, for instance, with that trip that her school is talking about taking, and even like an opportunity that I just saw like not too long ago when it came to wanting to get her to get involved in like this art thing. Like, I'm the one that bring a lot of those things up. She doesn't initiate it or go look for it or things like that. She loves what she does, but it's almost like, I guess, instead of saying like what to do, it's like teaching them to navigate all of these different opportunities that's out there for them. I think now where I am is like, I think that is me planting the seed, but I am kind of wondering if I'm planting the seed or if I am telling her what to do. Because I feel like if the seed is planted, then like I will start to see it like
she would initiate more conversation and research.
Yeah.
Things of that
sort. Yeah. So now I'm kind of like,
I think with the art thing that you are, I think sometimes it's okay to tell, because like, Naya went to a photo camp over the summer. She's been talking about it, but it's like it was just talk. But I know with her, if she consistently talks about something over time, she's really interested.
Yeah.
And so I had it I had saw this in the newsletter and I presented it to her like, hey, would you like to do this? But I
Mm-hmm.
also know with my child, like she gets a little fear, like I've never done it, so I don't know if I'll be good, so I'm just not gonna do it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't tell her she was gonna do it, but I was just like, hey, do you think you might want to do it? And if so, like I'll put in for it. And if it goes through, it goes through. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And so, but she ended up really liking it and then wants to go back. So I think sometimes like introducing it, but then sometimes telling them, like, because if she already has a art bone and this is something that will advance her, she just may have a fear. And I think the kids this age, if they don't feel like they can or feel like they're going to be good at it, they just don't do it. And so I
Yeah,
think sometimes just telling them, no, I've already paid, you're doing it, kind of
I
thing.
hear that. Yeah,
Yeah. I don't think that's bad. But I
yeah,
think
okay.
like if I say now you're gonna play a sport and I put her in it regardless, I think
Mhm.
that is kind of like because she has no interest.
Right. That makes sense.
So
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yes, to what both of you guys are saying, I feel like to me, planting seeds are planting nuggets, whether it's them affirming themselves, whether it's them talking about, like I told Ava, what are three things that you want to make sure that you do this year? Because these are things that I've been talking about for like 3 or 4 years. And now that she knows it's getting time close for college, it's real. And then her going to ACT camp this summer, and then her going to the nursing camp this summer, her getting her braiding license this summer, so it's so many things that she's
yeah,
working on and she's doing, but you've got to prepare and you've got to study. You've got to be aware and be knowledgeable, right?
Mhm.
So the three things she said was be on time, take notes, and study, right? Because you're not going to be able to just go in on that ACT and think you're going to get this high score and not. And she's seen that when she's been taking the ACT prep, but it's been online. But I did not really ask because some things they just need to do, and we know that,
Yeah.
right? So I didn't even
yeah,
Mhm.
ask. So I said I've signed you up for ACT camp, and it's a whole week. It is here. You're gonna ride the bus, and it's gonna be okay. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "Girl," and I had already told her, but then when it came time, it's like drama queen, forgot, whatever. Girl, you ain't tell none of my friends. Nope, I didn't, because I wanted you to be there by yourself, because then I know that you would focus, right? Guess
yeah.
what? She learned. She learned. Your mama knows you. So did I force? No, not really. Did I highly encourage? Yes. But some things, if there's a certain path that you want to take, then there's certain things that you're just going to have to do, whether you want to do it or not, right? The nursing camp, I had to sign her up for that in the spring last year. We didn't talk about it. I had to pay the money. Then it came time, me remind her, nursing camp is coming up. What do you? And it was just a day. She's like, "What do you mean, Mom?" I said, "Girl, we didn't talk," and I really did talk about it. I shared with her. When you said yes, I wouldn't have paid the money if you wouldn't have said yes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I said, so it left your brain when she got there. And of course, nobody she knew. And she enjoyed it. She learned so
Mhm.
much. Now, she did text me, "Mom, we were talking about these HBCUs," because there's 3 or 4 HBCUs that she's been researching and studying. That was her. I told her, "You do that. You
Mhm.
share it with me." We got a little shared note. So she's doing that. So she was just like, asking me questions, sending me texts. Okay, well, they're saying this kind of nurse and that kind of nurse. She's texting me, asking me all these questions. You got Google on your phone. She's like, "I'm doing that too, but I'm asking you." And I'm like, "Okay." But like y'all said, sometimes they've gotten so used to us being there and asking us all these questions, they have to
Mhm.
find that confidence in doing it themselves, reading and
Yeah.
comprehending and understanding. You're right there with all these nurses. Ask the questions, raise your hand. You
Mhm.
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
the braiding thing, she wanted to do that, right? And so it came across me. Somebody brought it to my attention. And I shared it with her, and she's like, "Yeah, I want to do it." So she did. So it kind of goes both ways. I think it just depends on what it is. But for the most part, I do think planting seeds is different than telling them what they want to do. I was listening to somebody this morning talk about how all the greatest people were told and taught directly. Michael Jackson, Venus and Serena, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, and look how they turned out, right? So when I heard that this morning, I said, well, that's interesting, but did they have a childhood? Did they really get to enjoy being kids? We know Michael Jackson did not, right?
Yeah.
We know that. I don't want Michael Jackson, right? I want her to still be able to enjoy being a
Some
teenager.
autonomy. Yeah.
Right. I don't want her to be a soldier. You got to do this, do this, do this, and can't live and breathe. Like, I just don't want that for her. I want her to be able to explore and be a kid. You know what I'm saying? So I think there is a fine line between planting those seeds and telling them what to do. I think sometimes we do have to strongly encourage, but I also feel like planting seeds is just what parents do, you know, whether it's about the birds and the bees and drugs and alcohol and making friends, to the career path that you choose that may change 1,000 times before you graduate from college. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but still introducing them to those likes. I don't think there's a problem like that coming across your lap, Bethany, about the art camp or about the travel. You're bringing those things to her attention because it may not be in their face to know those things. So I don't think you're forcing. Now, again, if you think that it's something that, especially the art stuff, because you know that's something she likes, if you feel like it's something that she will that, you know, will enhance her in some kind of way, I don't feel like there's a problem in strongly encouraging her to be the same as, you know, the photography camp, you know. So I think it's important for us to encourage and place things in their presence so they can be aware of what's out there, for sure.
Yeah.
I hear that.
The seed I try to plant with Naya is be open to trying, you know, open to trying things that will further. Because if you like it, you like it. And if you don't, you don't. No,
and that's okay.
No skin off your back, you know.
Right.
But at least you try, you
Exactly.
know. And so that's the real seed trying to plant there, is because you could pass up opportunities that could further you in the future.
Right. That's right.
Just saying no to everything is not helping you at all. So
I hear that. That was the purpose of like even like the school trip, because she gets so weird about like different countries and stuff. She's like, I don't know what's over there. I'm like, girl, that's why.
Well, and that's why I wouldn't even go. I wouldn't go step on that because she ain't no dummy, honey. She knows so much going on. Now, if you were going with her, I say shoot. Because I would love to take Ava on a mission trip or somewhere like that, but I can't say that I wouldn't go with her. I would definitely have to go. At this young age, I would definitely have to go with her. I ain't sending to nobody's country.
Right, that's another country. Yeah. I followed Naya behind her to DC. When they said parents couldn't come and y'all 5th grade, I said no. I'm going on up there.
Right.
I stayed around the corner. Now I wasn't with them, but I stayed around the corner. If she need me, I'm here. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, it's crazy. That's what everybody's like. What are you gonna do if she decides to go somewhere out of Tennessee for college? And I was like, well, she didn't already say, well, Mom, you can come live there. And I'm like, girl, don't you want to get away from me? Like, what? You know. But if she decides to go, it'll be okay, because we do need that. She has to gain her wings, right? She's got to find her independence. She's got to bump her head. Life experiences happen. You know, I'm gonna be devastated and heartbroken through the process, but it'll be all right. We'll make it. You know. So yeah, that's good stuff. Miss Deborah she didn't respond in the chat, but I do want to. She didn't respond in the group chat. She put this in the private chat, but she said, in order for them to know what is available, sometimes you have to present those things, and that's true. And she also said, plus it does help with the fear of the unknown, and it does. It does. That is the truth. Yeah. Let's see if we have any questions. I don't think we have any questions for. Okay. So, do you want to know, are you all clear on what each other's triggers are? Do y'all know what y'all's daughter's triggers are, if they have any, and do they know what yours are? And is that something that you all have defined with each other?
I don't know if she knows my trigger. If she knows my triggers, I think that she knows when I'm not going to be happy about something.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows what could. I guess she probably does know my triggers then, because she kind of knows like if I'm not going to be happy about something, if a situation happens, she knows, like she pretty much knows like how I'm going to react to it. As far as her triggers, I definitely know what her triggers are. And because I know what those triggers are, I definitely try to be mindful of like how I present things to her. Or so Ebony has like anxiety, and so because and it's with different things. So like she is more so like social, which she's actually kind of like growing out of that a little bit through some help. Um, and so she's really like growing out of that a lot. And so putting her in the spaces where she is at like her different art shows and stuff like that, she does really well with communicating about her art, communicating to people about art, period. And which is a beautiful thing, which also, you know, kind of confirms a lot of things of just like, you know, the purpose that, you know, her purpose in life. But she still likes to know things ahead of time. So one of the things that I learned about her is that where it's a little different from me, I can kind of be a little all over the place and not always like, I can kind of go with the flow type of thing. She really ain't trying to do all that go with the flow type of stuff. Let me know where we going. Let me know that I'm about to leave at what time, because I need to kind of like, she's one of those, she has to prepare her mind for it. I need to set my mind to what this is gonna be and how, you know, all of these different things. And so I try to like let people know that ahead of time, so that they understand like this is, you know, she feels uncomfortable when you just kind of like spur on the moment, like, hey, this is what we about to go do, because now she like, okay, I kind of had my mindset for something else. So like I pretty much know her triggers, and we've kind of like worked through a lot of those things. And like with her anxiety, we've worked through a lot of those things. She's grown a lot from some of those things, but some stuff she like, nope, this is what I'm gonna need you to tell me, because I really don't want to go.
Right.
Yeah. And I as an anxious child too. We had to do that growing up. Like, hey, we're going here, we're going there, you know. But as far as like, I wouldn't say Naya, we've never talked about like what triggers. You know, I know from just watching her like what affects her and stuff like that. And so I know when she's anxious. But as far as for me, like I'm kind of the same. When she knows I'm not playing, or when I've said my final say on something, she knows not to push it any further. You know. And it's usually I told you the answer. This is what it is, and don't ask me again. And so she knows, like when I say that, I'm done. And so she doesn't push. But as far as her, like a lot of more her stuff is like the anxious stuff, and I don't know if that must be a girl thing.
Yeah, Ava has it too.
Huh?
Yeah. I said Ava has it too. She has anxiety.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's like just something kids in a single parent family, because, you know, I try to keep her days very consistent growing up, because I had work and she was at her grandma's, and then she'd come home, you know, kind of thing. So, but I think still, I just maybe some of the unknown, like if a day didn't go as it was planned, you know, that may cause so. But I think just the pandemic, social anxiety kicked up. I see that, and so try to work out that the people pleasing and all that. We just trying to
Oh yeah,
yeah. Ava and I have talked about triggers. Because of some of the things she experienced her first year and a half of year and a half in high school. The anxiety was heightened, and any type of physical anything was, you know, is alarming. so during that season of her life, which we had started pivoting anyway, but just because she's getting older, she's in high school, things are changing. I've got to, you know, release this a whole nother level of trusting her in spaces with peers and friends. And this is my baby. And, Mama Bear is always right there and holding her close. And I didn't want her to be a kid that the mom held so close that when she got to college, she was buck wild. I didn't want my baby to be like that. I wanted to display a lot of what my mother did with us. And my father, and that was trusting us and always having communication. And we've always had great communication. That's not been nothing. I cannot say it's always been the best way of communicating, no, but we always tell each other how we feel, whether we happy, mad, sad, glad, screaming, and yelling, okay? Because I always wanted her to use her voice. But again, using it the right way, right? Advocate for yourself, right? So some of our triggers are, for me, is screaming. So just like yesterday, we was playing, but she let out this god awful scream, and the next thing I know, I was like, and she moved in time, right? Because she's like, Ma. I said, girl, but it's my reaction, because when that screaming comes out, it's almost like I go in defense mode, right? And we were just in mid play, but my response was pop. Not if it would have been anybody. It could have been my brother or anybody. And it just, that response would have came out, because I don't know if it startles me and I respond, because it's not like I was even angry in the moment, because we was literally horse playing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we was just, and she moved. I was like, oh my God, after the fact, I'm so glad you moved, because I would have got her, and it really I would have felt terrible, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that screaming, especially when it catches me off guard, I talk with my hands. But if we're in a strong debate, even in a calm way, if we're too close and I'm talking with my hands, that's a trigger for her. So I can't be that close to her. That's because of what happened. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can't be that close to her talking too much with my hands, even if it's not a we mad at each other type conversation, but you can tell the anxiety comes up in her, with that. Making sure we hear each other's voices. If she's trying to tell me something and I interrupt or start talking over her, she'll say, Mommy, you're not listening. I'll shut up. But I tell anybody that if I accidentally cut you off, call me on it, because I don't mean to, because I don't want anybody to cut me off either, right? So that's something that we're very mindful of. And the same with her. If I say no and you keep asking me 1,001 times and my eyes start getting big, she knows she better get going. So we have had to create these healthy boundaries. And even though we horseplay and play, like I said, like last night, that scream that she let out, like it was like react in that moment. And I don't really know where that came from. I don't know why I feel that way, but I absolutely do not like for people to scream. You know what I'm saying? It just does something to me. And she moved in the next time. Lord, I would have felt bad. But anyway, we've talked about these things. This is something we both started therapy. Her freshman year in high school, I had started, and then she told me she wanted to start. So we was creating a lot of healthy boundaries, but being reaffirmed by the therapist helped a lot. In us being able to talk about what we like and dislike from each other and how we can do better at it, So I heard you say that Jessica, your daughter was a strong-willed as a little person. Well, mine wouldn't. She was easygoing, full of love all the time, didn't have temper tantrums, but she has temper tantrums now. And people think I'm for being funny when I say that, but that is so real. Like,
yeah.
And I look at her like, why are you crying? Because she just does it in front of me. She ain't doing it at her daddy's house, and she ain't doing it in front of my parents. And she may kind of try to cut up a little bit with mom, but not like she does with me, right? And even
But
my
I
person.
wonder if that's also a feeling of safety because
Yep, I
she
was
can
wondering
feel
the
like
same
to,
Oh, of
thing.
to let
course.
that full
Yep,
emotion out, you know.
Of course,
I agree.
100%, 100%.
Mm.
And I mean, she's even gotten so comfortable with my person that when we're on the phone, she's done it a few times. And at first, it was almost like she would try to hold it in because she didn't want to be embarrassed. But like, girl, like you just too comfortable at this point. I'm gonna need you to stop doing that. You can be 16. Why are you having a temper tantrum? Like, no, what? And I asked her, and she's like, "Oh, I just don't want you to tell me no." I tell you no more than anybody. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You know, and I'm like, girl, you've got to get over that. No is a part of life. You're gonna hear no's everywhere you go. And what you gonna do? I mean, she ain't gonna have no temper tantrum from them people, but she probably will go somewhere and cry. But I'm like, you will have to suck it up, buttercup, you know, find a
Yeah.
different way to sort through those emotions. If you don't like no, you're gonna have to figure out a different way, you know. So yeah, learning each other's triggers are good. Love languages is important. I did that. Found Ava's is quality time. Um, and so again, Ava's always been affectionate. She still comes and lays in the bed or across the bed with me, and we still enjoy our mommy daughter times. I try to be intentional and do something with her once a month. So again, I think that's something important to know about our girls too. We have a statement. Let's see what it says. Um, Shakira said, "Do you feel the social media or technology craze has made social anxiety for your children worse?" Absolutely. Maybe due to lack of face-to-face communication because we were all glued to our phones. Yeah, um, especially coming right back off the pandemic.
Yeah.
That first year back to school, I mean, even teachers was like, it is so hard to figure out how to
Yep.
maneuver with these phones and these computers, and it's just almost like what's going to happen, like what's going on. You know, I have always tried to tell Ava that, you know, yeah, you may have some virtual interviews, on the phone interviews, but you may still have some of those old school face to face in person interviews. You've got to know how to talk to people. You've got to know how to speak and interact with people. I do think that it made it worse. From her freshman year compared to now, I have seen tons of growth, because her freshman teachers were really big on us not talking, but the kids talking. But if
Yeah.
Ava felt intimidated by any of her teachers, you wouldn't get nothing out of her. She wouldn't say
Yeah.
nothing to you. So I ain't getting ready to let her fail because she's got this anxiety. So let me go ahead and communicate. Or my first thing was email her first, right? Then the teacher embarrasses her. Don't email me when you see me and can tell me. She said this out loud to Ava in class. So you really ain't getting nothing out of her. She's shut. She's down.
Yeah.
Completely. But once she sees your aggression towards the other kids, so she's definitely not going to talk to you. And then you just embarrassed her. So it's a
Yeah.
done. So I had to switch her from one English teacher, African American, to another that she chose. And she tried to start that same method, and I went on and just nipped it in the bud. You know, I'm like, let's have this parent teacher conference. She was even going to go call the other teacher. What you calling the other teacher for? I switched her out of an honors class to a
Yeah.
regular class because of her uncomfortableness with her. What you
Yeah.
know? That teacher don't have nothing to say to Ava. Like,
Yeah.
about anything. She was never rude. She was never disrespectful. Her grades was good. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So that I understood that they wanted the kids to talk to them, and I agree with them. I don't have no, but if she's not comfortable, that's that time when you meet the kids where they are, right? If she wants to talk through email, just respond to her through email until she builds that comfort with you. You know.
Yeah.
So I do think that the social media and this technology does play a part in anxiety. Having the
Most
pandemic
definitely.
definitely did not help. And I see it getting better, you know, as they've been back into school, and, you
Yeah.
know, it's lessening through growth and maturity as well. So, yeah, I do. What do you guys think about that? that question.
I
Go
totally
ahead.
agree. Yeah, we talk about that all the time in our house. Like, and even with my brother, like, we talk about that so much. I've talked with other moms and parents where they feel like social media has caused a lot of anxiety. And
Mm-hmm.
like the thing is, like with Albany, so Albany doesn't do like, you know, where she puts herself like on video and like start, you know, like do like she doesn't do like the trends and things like that. She puts a lot of her art on video, like her art on social media. So she does a lot of that, and she looks at. But I think when it comes to like that anxiety and screen, I think that's her, like that's where a lot of her anxiety, part of the anxiety, is coming from. Is just screen, period.
Mm-hmm.
Because she watches a lot of videos and like over and over again, and so I think it's just too much. She and I watch what, you know, I look at, check to see like what all she's watching and all that kind of stuff or whatever. But sometimes, you know, like a lot of these videos or whatever, you know, they talk about relationships and, you know, stuff. I mean, it's just like a lot of drama sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, like that right there can, like, you know, it seeps into them, you know,
Yeah.
especially while they're still developing,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so I think, so
Mhm.
there's a lot of times when I'm like, you know, I've been trying to be consistent and put her on a routine. It's where it's like, you off your tablet, like you're done for, you know, 2 hours, we'll see about it, you know, like it has to be like an everyday thing. So that, and now that she's back in school, then of course she's not on it as much because now she's trying to do work. And then typically she's like at soccer practice, leaving soccer. We'll usually be pulling up by this time from soccer practice. So she doesn't have as much time to spend on the screen. But I definitely think that social media, videos, all just screen time period has caused a lot of anxiety. And then, I mean, you know, I was a teacher, and I was a teacher during the pandemic, and so I mean, like when it was time for us to go back in person, and I could tell that a lot of those kids were just like not used to being, you know, that have like being talked to, like somebody communicating with them. They were constantly on that screen, whether it was like the teacher or it was like, here's your tablet because at this point I just need you to like be over here.
Yeah.
And you can tell.
Yeah. I think it really has messed with communication, interacting, knowing how to like have conversation just in front of a person, you know, and then also, you know, just being able to, I guess. So I put it to my daughter as like, there's two people in this world now. There's watchers and there's doers, you know. You got people just watching everything everybody else does, and the people that's actually getting out here doing something, you know. And so I feel like that's this age, that category that these people are in, or her age is in now. It's like either you're watching or you're doing, you know. And so which one, you know, I told her, I was like, you can't be a watcher your whole life. You got to get.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of them are watchers. A lot of them are watchers, honey, for sure.
Yeah. So,
That's true. That's good. Because they got, you know, they were getting complacent. I can't imagine if that would have lasted a whole nother year. They were getting too complacent, you know, and the learning was barely for some, you know, test scores in some cases didn't rise at all. Some stayed the same, but then you had some that dropped too, you know, and Ava's stayed the same.
That's where you had to really put your foot down. Not planting seeds, but tell them you got to do this.
You know, and I mean, as much as she was doing the work, it wasn't meaningful because she needs that in-person interaction. She needs that. She needed that. So when I think that second wave of wanting to go, kids that could go back if they wanted to, she wanted to go back, you know, and I wasn't working from home at the time. I was in adult education, so I was having to be on the campus at that time and just kind of making sure. And she was doing her work. She was getting it done, but still, like, she needed
you don't
that.
Really learn much.
Yeah.
Some people learn really well like that, but most kids do not learn well like that anymore. I remember it wasn't until college or till I started my master's that I could really learn without somebody directing me.
That's me too. Me too. Yeah, that's me too. One of my friends, he said that his son does well. He absolutely loves the online learning, like, and it works for some kids. But Ava is a social butterfly, so she needs,
Yeah.
although she doesn't outwardly make friends, that person to person interaction, she needs that. You know, that
Yeah.
nurtures her in some kind of way. So yeah. What is the hardest thing about the relationship you have with your daughter, or just being a parent to a teen? What is the hardest thing?
Letting go.
Yes, ma'am.
What'd you say?
I said letting go, like
Yep.
letting her be who
Yep.
she's gonna
Facts.
be.
Facts. Yep. Yep.
That's a true
Definitely
statement.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so hard because it's like, and then it's like navigating this world, making sure that they are going to be able to navigate this world that they are living in. Like they don't know and understand risk the way we understand it. And it's just like, I have to let you go in this, but I really don't want to let you go in this because it's like so many, it's just, it's
It's
scary.
crazy out here.
It is. It's so crazy. And it's like you're thinking to yourself, like, have I taught it? I know like lately, like it's like the older she gets, the more it's like I'm like in a panic mode of have have I prepared you enough to be out here in this?
The last session we did of this, your friend, the one that then wasn't able to come on tonight, she posed a question that really has stuck with me. If I wasn't here anymore, and do you feel like you could live without me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that
Mm,
really has stuck with me because I'm
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
have I done what I need to do
Mm-hmm.
to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that
Mm-hmm.
even though I know I haven't taught you everything, right? Because just unconsciously, we don't have a checklist of like teach,
Yeah. Yeah.
but unconsciously, have I taught you the basics of how to get through what you need to get through and the
Mm-hmm.
tools
Mm-hmm.
that you
Right.
can pull some tools together to get
Yeah.
through whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So
And yeah, and that's real. And you know, I have been a single mom the whole time, and that is something that has always lived in my brain. I have to prepare you for when I'm no longer here, and no matter what age it is, no matter what age it is, I want to know that you're going to be okay, right? So letting her be a part. My person, he kind of laughs and says that my daughter and his sister's daughter has old souls because we are older moms, but also it's just been us and our daughters for so long. And and I hope that in that the values, the respect, the nuggets, the support, the conversations, the reality that I want her to live in, I hope that it will help her. I hope that all the fussing and the tools that I've given her in every moment, that if she's ever faced with it, she can take her deep breaths and think, I remember when mom said da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? Again, taking those deep breaths. And she has to do that. When that anxiety gets high, sometimes I have to say to her, breathe. Just breathe. You know what I'm saying? So I told her, when I'm not around and you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, breathe. Just breathe. Breathe and say a prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Jessica, I think that is definitely, a question. And even when my granny passed, Ava was there every minute until the last breath. I mean, every minute. And at moments, I never questioned until the last breath, and Ava let out this loud cry, but that's because her and Granny had been on each other's hip since she was born, right? Because she was at the childcare center with her, da 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 da. And I was like, oh my God, do we need to leave? Did I make it? She's like, no, I just know I won't see my granny again. But now, as her teenage self, she says, Mama, that was pretty traumatic for me. Yes,
Mm.
it was.
Yeah.
I knew when you let out that
That's
cry.
good that she's able to put her
Yes,
emotions.
yes.
That's
So
good.
5 years ago, right, as a 10-year-old versus a 15-year-old, and she's able to say that. But I said, so would you have wanted me to change it? Should you have stayed away? She said, I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. I'm glad that I was there. But I wanted what I want for her. Of course, I didn't know that Granny was going to have her last breath in that moment. But I never wanted Ava to, I don't want her to fear death. I don't want her to fear you're going to be hurt. You're going to be devastated when mama dies. You will.
Yeah.
But you can still live. You still need to go on, right? And I need her to know that. And you can be okay. And you have the tools. But let me tell you something. I pray that God allows me to live until I'm 100 years old, because I want to see grandkids, great-grandkids. Yeah. I want to see college or whatever career path you choose, get married. And I really pray that. I hope that he can keep me here, not just physically, but my mind and everything, because I want to be present, you know, like that for her. And maybe, because she's my only child, but I don't want to miss out on those moments. I want to be a part of every moment, as much as she wants me to be at some point. I want to be. I do want to ask one more question. I know we're at our time. Did everybody answer that? The hardest about, did we all answer that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Have you guys talked about choices and consequences with your girls in every spectrum, whether it's sex, whether it's drugs and alcohol, whether it's making friends, whether it's future? Have you all talked about choices and consequences? And was that an easy conversation, uncomfortable, or was it just a normal conversation because that's just kind of what y'all do?
So it depended on what the conversation was.
Which topic?
If the conversation was just like choices and consequences about, you know, just like chores in the house or things that I've told you to do, then, you know, then that came out like, well, you know what, these are the consequences. This is what I asked you to do, and so like this is what happens. I have had to kind of, and then like when it comes to intentional conversations with friends and stuff like that, it wasn't really uncomfortable. It was like, it just needed to be talked about. Now, sex was a little uncomfortable, but now that, because I try to like have that conversation with her more now, it's not uncomfortable, because I just need to like keep reminding her of, this is what can happen. I just need you to know that this is what can happen. Do you understand that this is what can happen? I have kind of like transitioned or kind of steered the conversation a little bit of like, we have choices and consequences, but I need you to understand the why part. And can you explain to me why? There are like, you know, can you explain to me why I say these things to you? Or can you explain to me like, you know, why we have these conversations? Because I do, and I think it kind of ties back into the last question that was asked about the hardest part. The hardest part of, you know, again, is like, have I prepared you enough for this? And I think that sometimes there are certain parts of like when you're having a conversation, I think with your kids, sometimes it has to go a little bit deeper than like, you know, these are choices, these are consequences, or like you're getting in trouble for this, or not even, or, you know, I'm telling you this, but I need you to understand why. Because a lot of times they're thinking like, and Albany has told me, where you're just, you know, you tell me this because you just don't want me to do it. No, that's really not why, you know, or like, well, that's what, you're my mom and that's what you're supposed to, you know, and it's like, no, not even at all. Like, you know, I need you to understand, like, I'm telling you this because of this. Like, there's safety that's involved with all of these things. Again, it goes back to risk. We know risk that they do not know. And so we tell them this to protect them. And so like my conversation has shifted a little bit when we talk about like these are the consequences, but let's talk about the why behind it. And I need you to understand the why behind it.
I'm the same way. I think I take every advantage to talk about choices and consequences, and I do it from all different angles. And I try to answer. I think sometimes just being a therapist, I answer the question before it's asked. Like when I see that, I'm like, and I'm not just telling you because I'm your mom. I'm telling you because of this, you know. And so, but there was another little nugget that another question like that stuck out to me. I forgot who said this, but it was about, I'll tell her all the time, you get a choice, but once you make your choice, you don't get to pick the consequence or the praise. You know, you don't get to pick that part. And so, but understanding, like, my part is to teach her, like, okay, these are your two choices, but these are also what can follow. You do this, you're probably going to get further. You do this, you're going to put yourself back. So I think I try to do that a lot, even as we're now, you know, she's got a little boyfriend and wants to date. And so I tell her, like, look, you know, you're only 15, okay? And you know, you got choices to make down the line, and these choices got to be based off of you, not this relationship. So, you know, so I tell her, you know, those kind of conversations. And some are organic; they just come about, and others are just like, look, I see you moving in a funny way. I got to let you know about yourself, you know. So, so yeah, that's how I do it.
Yeah, and that's real. I'm thankful because my mom, she was so real with us when it came to just conversations. There was nothing that we could not talk to my mom about when we were teenagers. And that I appreciated so much. And that is the one thing that I definitely want, like I said, carry over with my relationship with my daughter. I do trust that Ava tells me at least 95% of things. Confidently, I feel that way. Now, it could be, it's 5%, man, she probably ain't. But I do believe that. And I have made it where she could always communicate with me and talk to me about something. Making sure I respond correctly, right? When she shares things that that I'm cringing on the inside. But I'm thankful for that. Yes, she's got a little guy friend, which he hates when I say that. Miss Tabitha, she's my girlfriend. Okay, whatever, Jeremiah, whatever. So he hates every time I say it. So anyway, so they visit. You know, I let him come here. She ain't going over there. He can come here and visit. They can sit downstairs, right? But still, my nerves are like on 20. Like, I just can't take it. And she's like, Jeremiah's not been over all summer, girl. You gotta let me warm back up to it. He lived down the street. He lived like literally 5 minutes away. Okay. I was like, girl, I gotta warm back up to it again. You just gotta just wait a minute, honey. Because I'm still not relaxed yet. I just, and I'm right here. And they know, like, whatever. No blankets, don't be getting too comfortable. Like, girl, all of it. The same, and like I told him, the same energy I give Ava, you're going to get it. And if you can't handle it, then you can't be a part of this right here. I mean, even her daddy was like, we don't do dumbass niggas now. We just don't do that. Like, you got to be on your stuff, right? Keep it up, So anyway, it's there's nothing that we haven't talked about. And when I say we are raw diggity, we raw diggity. And that's just what it is, because I need you to hear the real from me than these knucklehead boys or these silly butt girls that think they know what they're talking about. And that's part of the reason why. And that's part of the reason why I wanted her to have a guy friend. Not that I wanted her to have one, but that I'm okay with her having one, because I want to be able to walk with you through this process before you get to college, right? I want you to, I want to be able to go through these experiences with you, to be able to guide you and teach you and advise you on, how maybe I would handle the situation, or when you see red flags, I need you to be in tune with these red flags, right? Don't just let it sweep it under the rug, So we talk about everything. And I'm so thankful that she trusts me enough to talk to me about that. Her girlfriends know, and she said, especially when she was at Hillsborough, she was like, Mama, all my friends say your mama be doing too much. So
that's what I tell now. I'm like, I'm not there, Mama.
Am I doing too much? Is you're 14. You're not riding in the car with nobody to the game. You're 14. That's not happening. I'm doing too much. I'll take it. Sorry. No, you're not riding to the store with nobody yet. No, at that time. No, you're not doing any of that. I'm doing too much. I'm okay with it. Your curfew is at 10 o'clock. I ain't doing too much. That's your curfew, right? So if that is me doing too much, then I'm doing too much. I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? So, but the close ones, they know, and they like, yes, Miss Tevez, they know stranger danger. What does that mean? They read it off the list. They tell me what should you do, what girl. They know it out. Then make sure you practice it if something crazy happens. one of her
Yeah.
close friends, she's driving now. So she brings Ava home after school, which of course she's just down the street now, so it's no big deal. But like last week, they had a couple games, and Mama, can we go? Yes, please be careful. I got them in a group text. Da-da-da, after school traffic, blah blah. Make sure that they know,
Yeah.
and they know that I love them just as much. I'm gonna take care
Yeah.
of them. They mamas trust that whatever I say is out of love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I do think it's important to have those conversations, and none of them have been uncomfortable. Now, what gets uncomfortable is if she asks me if I have in some areas, and then I'm just like, girl, that's too much. That's too
Right.
much. That's too much.
Well,
We're not
sometimes
going there.
I do enter into that myself because I
Mhm.
realize the value of her understanding that your mom's not perfect either.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And that's why
Yep.
I can tell you this, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so
Right.
understanding the consequence because I live the consequence. And I
Yes,
don't want you to have to live
exactly.
Yep.
the
That is
consequence.
right.
So
That is right.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
Mhm.
and yeah to that, but something, my baby, that's why I said that her comfort level with her mom
Right.
is just
Yes.
a whole nother. And I'm
You
just
don't
like,
need
girl, and
details.
then if you don't
You just need
answer,
to know.
she already know. You did, So it's like, what am I supposed to say? I don't go there. I don't have that conversation. You don't need to know details,
Yeah.
okay? Like, just fall back, sister. But I'm
Yeah.
thankful that she's comfortable talking to me about these things. So we are 16 minutes over, which is quite normal when we have these conversations. I think we
Yeah.
might have got through 5 or 6 this time, but that was better than last time.
Yes.
So just to close out, if you all were in a space with other single moms that maybe their girls aren't yet teenagers, what are 3 things that you would share with those mothers as they enter teenage years with their teens? 3 pieces of advice.
Don't forget that you were a teenager.
Facts. I was actually a good teenager. I have to say that. Sorry, y'all.
I was too. So I'll put that like
I wasn't bad.
Oh, your birthday's the same as Albany and Ava's birthdays are the same. When is yours, Bethany?
January 21st.
Okay, you're close to my mom. Okay. Go ahead.
I think another one would be just know like that they are their own individual person.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you know that, then you kind of understand them a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
I think it also ties back into the fact that like you were a teenager. Sometimes I think about like my mom and I, when I was growing up, we were different teenagers. Like she was a different teenager than I was than I was. And so sometimes I felt like I don't think you really like understand me like that. Like not really. And so, but that's okay. And like, and having a teenager myself and understanding like, she may be a different teen than I was, like that's cool. Like, but still know that she's a teenager. And remember that you were too. I don't know a third thing yet, but those are definitely like 2 that I would share.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Jessica.
I would say affirm their feelings, even if you don't get why they're having them. Affirm them to make them feel heard, and then discuss why they're having the feeling. Allow your child to tell you where they feel uncomfortable with you, like, and why. Of course, when I think when I say that and parents hear that, they're like, they ain't gonna tell me about myself. No, it's not telling you about yourself. Like, it should always be done in a respectful way, but have that open dialogue to where your child can tell you like, hey mom, like this makes me uncomfortable that we do this. Cause I didn't realize I had bad boundaries. I won't say they were bad, but I had to fix my boundaries in some places with Naya, based off of a therapist session too. And because I realized that structure came from with me and my mom, and I'm having to fix boundaries there too. So just understanding that, because it just makes them it's going to make them a better adult, and setting boundaries with other people that starts at your home. So And then the third thing was, I would just say, have fun with your team, because they're not going to be in your home much longer. So, you know, have fun with them, enjoy them, even though I know for girls it can be hard. The days their moods are up and down, but just have fun and do something that they enjoy, so that they know you're invested in them,
Right.
you know,
Right. That's a
outside
good
of
one.
work, school, and sport,
Mhm.
or
Right.
whatever they're
Right.
functioning, and just have fun.
Yeah. I think my three would first and foremost make sure that the doors of communication um, they're always open um, with your team from the time that they are tots up until forever, because that's something that starts early. Um, so yes, making sure the doors of communication are always open. Um, the second one would be instilling morals and values. Um, I oftentimes say that there's a lot that's changing in the world, but respect, morals, and values remain the same. Um, instilling those because they need it. They need it with you. They need it with friends and families. It helps create boundaries. It gives them to me, a secret strength that maybe some other kids don't have. Um, and that's a part of building their character, right? That's a part of building their character and their integrity as well. Last and not least, if you have a spiritual belief system, making sure that they are definitely involved and grow in that. You guys together grow in that. Whatever your spiritual beliefs are, just instilling those same beliefs in your child for sure. Yeah, I think that's what I have. So yeah, that's all I have. So thank you, ladies. Thank you, ladies,
Ooh,
for being a part of tonight. Bethany, I'm glad you got to join us this time.
yeah.
Um, please let your mom know that yes, we definitely want to have her on. So you guys shoot me some topics of interest that she may be interested in, and we will get some dates figured out for her. And yeah, thank you guys. Y'all make sure y'all share it and with y'all's people on your social media pages. And I think that's all. That's all I have. So you guys have a great week, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Bye. Thank y'all for
Bye.
joining.
Thank
Bye.
you. Let me end.